Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to my Surah by Surah series. This is part 51, Surah Adh Dhariyat. This is the scattering winds. So you know how sometimes you clean up your house and 2 minutes later you see dust flying everywhere again? You're like, did someone open up a window? No, it's just Allah reminding you you're not in Jannah yet. Surah Adh Dhariyat starts by swearing by the winds that scatter dust, because those winds that move tiny particles can also move entire destinies. Allah is showing us that He controls everything, even what we don't pay attention to. So this is Surah Adh Dhariyat, chapter 51 in the Quran, the meaning of the scattering winds. It's a Meccan surah. It has 60 verses. So this surah is powerful, poetic, and deeply awakening. Its main theme is accountability on the Day of Judgment, signs of Allah in creation, and the contrast between those who succeed and those who fail. So number one is the oaths by the winds and signs of power, which is mentioned in verses 1 through 19. Allah opens, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, by the winds that scatter dust, and by the carriers of heavy rain, and by the ships that sail, and by the angels that distribute commands. So everything in the universe, wind, rain, oceans, angels, follow divine order. Nothing is random. So if a gust of wind is under Allah's command, then so is your life. You're not floating, you're guided, tested, and perfectly planned. Then Allah warns, indeed, what you are promised is true, and indeed the judgment will occur. This is mentioned in verses 5 through 6. In other words, wake up. This world is not forever. The test is real, and so is the grade day. So number two is the success of the righteous, which is mentioned in verses 15 through 19. Allah describes the qualities of the people of Jannah. They used to sleep a little at night, and before dawn they would seek forgiveness. And in their wealth was a right for the beggar and for the one who asked not. So three traits of winners: night prayers, which is Qiyam and Tahajjud, istighfar in the last hours before Fajr, and generosity without announcing it, or pride. So while today many stay up late scrolling on their phones, the righteous stay up talking to Allah. Sacrifice brings success, laziness brings regret. So the lessons from the past nations, which is mentioned in verses 24 through 46, Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, and his guest. Angels visit Abraham, peace be upon him, bringing good news of a child and warning of destruction for the people of Lut. This shows Allah rescues the righteous before punishing the corrupt. So the people of Lut, alayhi salam, destroyed for their rebellion and their indecency, a warning to societies that normalize immorality. The people of Ad, Thamud, and Pharaoh, every arrogant civilization collapsed once they thought themselves untouchable. So, modern parallel, empires crumble, trends die, but faith survives every storm. So the purpose of creation is mentioned in verse 56. This verse is the heart of the entire surah. And I did not create jinn and mankind except to worship me, not to chase status, not to drown in entertainment, not to accumulate wealth. Life's purpose is simple: to know Allah, to worship Allah, and to return to Allah. So in my reflection, imagine playing a game for 80 years and never reading the instructions, then acting shocked when you lose. That's what life is without purpose. Provision is guaranteed, mentioned in verse 58. Indeed, Allah is with the provider, the possessor of strength and power. Your risk was written before you were born. So don't humiliate yourself for the dunya. And don't stop giving to fear of poverty. You chase Allah, risk will chase you. So to the non-Muslims, Surah Adh Dhariyat invites reflection. The universe operates with precision. Where did the order come from? Death is certain. Shouldn't we ask what comes after? Purpose gives life meaning. Without it, we are just breathing bodies. Religion is not blind faith, it is intelligent faith. Islam calls people to think, reflect, and prepare. To the Christians and the Jews, this surah carries the same message their prophets brought: accountability, morality, turning away from arrogance, and worshiping God alone. And to the Muslims, stop living like you have forever. Wake up for Fajr. Seek forgiveness before dawn. Give without hesitation. Live with purpose, because one day the winds will stop, but your book of deeds will not. So, key takeaways is everything is under Allah's control, no chaos, only divine precision. The hereafter is certain. Prepare now. True believers rise at night and give selflessly. History proves arrogance and destroys nations. You were created for worship, not distraction. Risk is guaranteed, so trust in Allah. And in my closing reflection, this surah is a spiritual alarm clock. It wakes your heart the way loud wind rattles the windows at night. It asks, are you drifting or living with a purpose? Are you preparing for the day when the winds stop and angels begin their work? Because the scattering winds will someday scatter your dust. So build your Jannah today with every prayer, every tear, and every act of sincerity.